Prime Minister Najib who won the elections over the weekend. 133 seats were secured by the ruling coalition, still too short of the last elections where it won by the most margin of victory. Still, whoever won, the wheels of change have been set in motion. The ruling coalition calls it transformation. The opposition calls it change. Whatever it's labelled, there is a widespread feeling among Malaysians that it is time to restructure and roll back entrenched policies based on race. Khairi Jamaluddin and Nurul Izzah Anwar are two powerful young politicians sitting on opposite sides of the political fence.
I think Malaysians realise that political transition is important to ensure a two-coalition system takes place, because you're talking about opening the democratic space, and that's what this election is about.
They want certainty, economic certainty. They want a better economic future, and we've been selling the economic transformation program as something that will secure them better jobs, great investments in the future, and also basic livelihood issues.
The key to this election are the young. They're among the 2.3 million new voters, or just under a fifth of those registered. They're less steeped in tradition, more tech-savvy, and they're after change in a system put in place for 55 years.
I would like to see equal opportunities for everyone in the country.
I think corruption, definitely. I think Malaysia has a lot more potential than what it's been doing so far.
I would like to see the cronyism to be abolished, and I would like free education for all the kids, and the price of goods should be reasonable for all.
It's a pivotal moment in Malaysia's history, a political evolution that mirrors what's happening across the region. The voter shift in Singapore away from post-colonial parties, and also political reform in Myanmar and Vietnam.
We may see a kind of silent revolution taking place, with people making up their minds in the living rooms and then casting their ballots.
For Malaysia, the wheels of change have been set in motion. The question is what that change will eventually look like. Now let's get assessment of the Malaysian elections and the results with our guest right now, James Chin, political science professor at Monash University. James, good to have you with us. It was touted to be the closest race ever, yet it was a clear majority for the ruling coalition. What went wrong for the opposition?
Nothing went wrong for the opposition. I think they put out a very, very strong campaign. But at the end of the day, there was a huge urban-rural divide. The urban population decided to go for the opposition, primarily because they were looking for complete change. As you're well aware, the opposition was using this word called ubah, which means complete change. That was their major slogan. But in the rural areas where people are a bit more conservative, they decided to back the current incumbent government. So basically what happened is, in a nutshell, urban areas voted for the opposition, rural areas voted for the government.
So, but it's not just about a rural-urban divide, it's also a divide among the races in Malaysia.
No, I have to disagree with you. If you look at the margin of victories in the urban areas, although that's primarily where the Chinese population lie, you will see that the margins in the so-called Chinese seats are very, very large. So you have to assume that a significant portion of that majority came from the non-Chinese voters as well.
What now for the opposition? Anwar Ibrahim has said that should the opposition were to lose, he would step down. Do you see that happening?
Not for the immediate term. I think what will happen is that the opposition will have to discuss seriously what they want to do. What you have is an unusual situation now. Malaysia is using the British model, which means that traditionally the opposition party with the largest number of MPs get to select the leader. Now the current party with the largest number of opposition MPs is the Democratic Action Party, the Chinese party, and Anwar's party is actually number 2, which means that they have to give way to Anwar to be the opposition leader.
So what's the next course for the opposition? It's cried foul. It said there were allegations of fraud. More than 2,000 complaints were lodged to the police. What can the opposition do, and does it matter?
Well, there's not much the opposition can do. The opposition can assert political pressure on the government to set up some sort of commission to investigate the whole electoral process. I expect that if there's any commission to be set up, it can't be set up in Malaysia simply because people will accuse them of being biased. So it will have to have some sort of international component to it.
There's been talk of a possible protest, perhaps supporters of the opposition, supporters of Anwar Ibrahim, will go to the streets to show their displeasure over the results. Do you see that happening? It's been pretty quiet so far.
It is possible to have a demonstration, and it may happen. But the problem is, I think the opposition is now still suffering from shock. As you know, if you go to the urban areas throughout Peninsular Malaysia and Sabah and Sarawak, you will see huge crowds supporting the opposition. So the opposition will, I think they're still in a state of shock given the margin of victory by the government.
But the government is also disappointed. It has not gotten the kind of numbers it was looking for.
That's actually not true. The thing about the government looking for two-thirds majority, this was actually played out by the media. The government was never serious about the two-thirds majority.
But Najib did say he was looking for at least 140 seats in Parliament.
Yes, but 133 is actually not bad. And given the fact that he actually won back Kedah, that's very important because one of the largest factions in Najib's UMNO party is actually a faction controlled by Mahathir. So now that Mahathir is happy that the son is going to be the Menteri Besar of Kedah, Najib will have a much easier time, UMNO.
But how challenging would it be for Najib to reconcile the whole country after this particular election?
Going forward, I think Najib faces two major challenges. One is that given the nature of the Barisan National Government, he has to find a replacement for the Chinese representatives in government. The Chinese party in the Barisan National has already said that they're not going to send any representatives in the government. So Najib has to find probably Chinese technocrats to join his government, so-called to represent the Chinese. That's the first big challenge. The second challenge is that I think Najib has to find a way to bring the Chinese community back into the mainstream because you cannot rule a country where a quarter of the population is against you.
Najib, is he safe in his position as Prime Minister of the country and President of UMNO?
Yes, Najib will be very safe for the time being.
Why is that?
Primarily because he did better than what UMNO expected him to do. And secondly, I think that, given the fact that he won 133, very close to 140 last time around, and given all the difficulties he faced, I think he did a very good job, and I don't think that UMNO will disturb him for the immediate future.
Just very quickly, in terms of his top priority, that would be?
Top priority was to replace the Chinese representatives in government.
And when is he likely to meet with the king?
Oh, I think the meeting has already taken place.
And how soon do you think he will reconvene and get his party together?
Well, I think the parties were meeting all night last night. I think he's met the king. The way the process works in Malaysia is that the moment he is sworn in as the Prime Minister, he can start putting his cabinet together. All
right, Justin, James will leave it there. There you have it, an assessment of the Malaysian elections. And by the way, Malaysian markets are up by about 3% at this point in time, and the ringgit also strengthening. We're going for a short break. Bloomberg will be right back. Stay with us.